special Saturday collab video for you guys. And I got some pretty cool guys on today. What is up, Finn fans? You see that title? I'm talking Miami Dolphins football with the Dive Bar podcast. If you don't know who they are, just click the link. That's literally their name, the @ in the title. Just click on it. Go check them out. They just did an interview with Ferguson, Blake Ferguson, our long snapper. They have a huge announcement coming Monday for their next video. So this is going to be real interesting. We get into it. I ask them about how they started their channel. What was it like interviewing Blake Ferguson? We obviously talk Miami Dolphins football. Great guys. Their third partner in crime, Joe Robbie, wasn't there. It's just Ghost and Bobby, two good guys, friends of mine that I've known for a hot minute. But before we jump into that great conversation, one of you guys sent me a letter to my P.O. box. Side note, I have to update my P.O. box because I pay, it's like $300 for 3 months or $400 for 3 months. And I just let it run out because I wasn't getting any letters or anything. So I was like, I'm not going to throw another $300 or $400 at the P.O. box. But some of you guys hit me up wanting to send me something. One of you guys hit me up, said you sent me a letter, but it bounced back. And that's because I let the P.O. box kind of just go to the wayside because I don't get much. But one of you guys did send me a letter, and it literally says on the back, you can't see it, open on film or on video. So we'll do this real quick and then we'll get into the video. It's a nice letter. It says, all it says is Tua, Captain America, Tua time, Tua T, Tua time, Mr. Football, touchdown Tua, nickname. That's all it says. Okay. Thank you for that. Who sent this to me? Sean? Appreciate that. I don't know much of the context of that. But yeah, I'm going to re-up the P.O. box. So if you guys do want to send me anything, let me know and I'll re-up it. If not, don't feel like you need to. But if not, then I'm not going to. But other than that, let's jump into this great conversation with the Dive Bar podcast. You know, I had to get my boys from the Dive Bar podcast on here. You guys, what is up? Bobby, Ghost of Adam Gase. We don't have Joe Robbie, but he is here in spirit. Not that he's dead. He's just not here right now. What is up, my guys?
How we doing, Doug? Thanks for having us on, man. We appreciate it.
We're doing great, man. It's a pleasure to be on. We love what you do for the community. You bring everybody together. We're just really happy to be here.
I appreciate that. Yeah, you guys, first episode, we're going to jump right into this. First episode, you got Blake Ferguson on. Long snapper, the next possible John Denny. That's what I call him. Like, I love that, man. You guys, that was such great conversation with him. How did that come about? Like, how did you, like, did he reach out to you? You reach out to him? How'd that come about?
You take that, Bob. Good.
Blake did us a favor. He reached out to me when we announced the podcast and said, whenever y'all get up and running, whenever that may be, I'd love to be on. And we kind of I talked it back to the boys and they were like, honestly, that'd be the perfect first guest. So I said, how about the first episode? He was like, down, let's go. Let me know when, where, let's do it. So Blake really hooked us up, man. He looked out for us. He came through. He was super helpful. He did a bunch of stuff that we didn't even ask for, a bunch of tweets and shout outs. He was just incredible, honestly.
Yeah, it was just such an organic experience. Mm-hmm. The way he reached out, the way he handled it, it was like, we never once were we like, hey, can you tweet this? Can you retweet this? Can you shout us out? Can you try to promote this? Everything was just on his own. And he was legitimately, when we got into the backstage, he was like, I am so excited to be here. And we're looking at it, we're like, dude, we're the ones that are excited. You're doing us a favor. And he just made you feel so welcome and like just a genuine dude. Like we were able to talk with him for 20, 30 minutes backstage and just what this guy is about, man. Like he's just an incredible person on and off the field. Just a true leader and just makes you feel so welcome when you're in his presence. So it was a great experience from start to finish. We were happy to have him.
If you guys haven't checked it out, go subscribe the Dive Bar Podcast. It is the @ in the title. Go check it out. Watch the interview. I'm not going to spoil it because I want people to go over. I'm not even going to ask you questions about the questions. Some really good questions. It's like the four of you were friends forever and you guys just started chatting. Like, for real, people need to go over, subscribe to your channel because you guys are building something great over there. How did that come about? Like, what made you guys want to start this channel?
I guess it's kind of just been it wasn't something that we really planned on. I think just it was one of those conversations where like, hey, we should be able to talk about these things and whatnot, but it came up organically over and over and over and over. And finally, we got to, it's not just myself, not just Bobby, not just Joe Robbie. There's about 10 of us together that have been working behind the scenes and helping us get contacts, networking, doing our graphics, doing our videos. And we've all been friends for, I don't know, 3 years now, 2 years. And we've all met on Twitter. And so there's so much more going on behind the scenes, and everything kind of just came together. And we all just really, all we had to do was really put one foot in front of the other. And we work so well together. Like I said, there's more than just us three on, as a part of this project. But it was really just organic. It's not something that we tried to force. Clearly we did 6 different teasers before we were able to get our first episode in. So it's been we've taken our time, and I think that we're just trying to do things the right way. Rather than try to just put out as much content as we possibly can. Our goal is to really just bring quality content. Obviously, Blake Ferguson was a godsend, for our first episode, bringing like an active 53 player. That's huge for us, even though he was more excited than us to have him on. Like he was awesome, dude. But that's really, it came down to, we're sitting in a group chat and like, hey, let's do something. We can do a lot of good in this community. We can bring a lot of quality content, and we don't really have a plan on scheduling dates or a date that we're going to always record on. We're just really focusing on, hey, if we have 3 episodes this summer, they're all going to be quality episodes. So we're really not trying to just push out content. We're getting us 3 in a room at the same time, obviously, is as difficult as it gets. Never mind, all 10 people running behind the scenes, but we do work well together, and it's just something that happened organically.
Yeah, that's something, it's sometimes it is quality over quantity, and you guys put out some really good stuff, especially during the summer. There's different channels for different things. Like my channel, I'm gonna every day of training camp, every day, but some people don't like that. Some people just like chatting. Some people like that different format. So it's you guys are doing it the right way, and you're not pushing it, and you're not trying to force something, because I noticed with the people I've talked to, the people that are forced trying to start this stuff, it kind of fizzles out because they lose the passion for it, and that's the biggest thing. But now let's talk football. I want to pick you guys' brains about football. Trevor Lawrence just signed a fat contract. What's your thoughts on Tua Tagovailoa? You think he's getting more, or you think he's getting about the same as Trevor Lawrence?
I think the longer this goes on, I think his price just goes up. He's represented by Athletes First, so it's hard to imagine him taking a discount or going without anything. But 55 a year, I didn't know if it would get to that point, but I think we're there. So I think whether we like it or not, 55 a year is probably the threshold now.
My perspective on it, if it's obviously a huge number. He's technically he's the highest paid quarterback in the NFL right now, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
like on a per year basis. But when you kind of dig in, and contract numbers are so funky. Like Patrick Mahomes signed $500 million deal whenever he signed it, $500 million restructured in 24 hours. So like these contract numbers are funky. And the thing with Trevor Lawrence that you really have to look at, and I think people are overlooking, is the void years on that contract, and he's still in his 4th year. Like he's not even done with his current contract. So I don't want to say it's like a phony contract, but the numbers that we're looking at, I still think that Tua Tagovailoa is going to get around guaranteed that 45 to 50 mark. So I still think that we're still, in that ballpark, and there's no reason to hit that panic button yet. It is odd that it hasn't been signed yet. It is odd that it hasn't been announced. I don't know what's happening behind the scenes. We don't know that. But I think there's I had an overreaction to the Trevor Lawrence contract. I'm like, what? We're sitting on our hands, and you know that price. He's going to get $60 million a year now, $65 million guaranteed. But you know, when you sit back and you look at the void years that he's still currently on that fourth year, and when he signed it at the time he did in his career right now, you know those numbers aren't really what they are. But you know, we should get this done, especially before this Dak deal. I mean, Jordan Love's probably going to get paid, so you know they're all up for it, dude. So the sooner you do it, obviously, the better. He did a great job with Waddle. We saw what happened with Devontae Smith coming down, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I'm confident, but I still believe we're around that $50 million guaranteed a year.
That's another tidbit to remember too. Is Dak is also athletes first.
Yep.
And that was a little rumor speculation at the beginning of all this, was that they kind of wanted to see what they could do with Dak first to take back to the Dolphins and see, like, hey, Dak's here now. What you going to do with Tua? So that's something to watch. They're both kind of just sitting there. They're kind of both two people that everybody thought was going to get handled first. They're now sitting at the end. So
yeah, it's and like Go said, it's all about how it's structured, because you look and you see that Trevor Lawrence is getting $55 million a year. He's not. His void contract is after 2028, and the cap hit is maxed at $47 million. So, you know, it's about the guarantee. You know, he's getting guaranteed 142 at signing, 200 altogether. So if you look at the contract, it's actually like a what, $58 million guaranteed contract, because he already got his money straight up front. But yeah, he's tied. Him and Joe Burrow are tied with the, you know, average a year at 55. So it's going to be interesting. And, you know, Jordan Love, I think the Packers are now racing the Dolphins to get Jordan Love signed before Tua gets signed. And from what I know, the structure's there. They're just worried about the guarantee, and just giving the man his money. let's get on with this.
I mean, that's what you're getting there. I mean, one thing we love about Greer and Shore is, like, these contracts come out and then we see the details and we're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
You did what? You can get out of this in 2 years? Or like, oh, this is amazing. So, like, you got to be happy about that. But at the same time, you know, when you're a franchise quarterback, you're trying to set the market or be in the mix of the market, it could be aggravating. And with a contract this big, I'm sure Shore and Greer are really finagling and trying to, like, make sure everything's covered. So it is what it is.
Yeah, if you look back at that Waddle contract, the way that structure, it's not even going to kick in till what, 2026?
Yes.
I think that money's even kicking in. So it's I have no problem with the structure. It's it always just does get worrisome when things drag out. Like, you know, we're through minicamp. You know, we have the next thing coming up is the real thing, real practices, joint practices, public practices, and then we're in preseason. Like, we're less than 60 days from that, of all of that happening and being over.
I can't wait.
Yep.
I'm going down there too for the first time, and Ghost, me and you, Northeasterns, and I'm going down. I'm gonna melt, because it's gonna, I think where I live now, it's gonna be like 98, 96 on next Saturday. I showed my wife, I was like, it's too hot. It's gonna be too hot. Mind you, when I go down in August, it's gonna be like 100. I'm just gonna be a puddle on the ground.
I can tell you this: I live in South Louisiana, and it's hot. It's humid. When I go down there to Miami Gardens, oh my goodness, that's the only place that humbles me. Like, I think it's heat. I think it's hot here. When you go down there in Miami Gardens, that sun is on your head.
I went last year for the Giants game, and then the game before was that Miami Hurricanes game where they lost with a minute left. And I was at that game. I was like, oh, my friend was like, you want to go to the Hurricanes game? I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm like, it's a night game. It's not. I was sweating worse at that night game than I was at the Giants game, because it was just so humid. I was like, people want to say hi to me. I had to fist bump them, because if they tried to shake my hand, I would have, like, squeezed it. It was just a nightmare. But yeah, we're getting there. We're getting very close to training camp. And, you know, I honestly think Tua's contract's going to get done before training camp starts. I think now that they got their rookie signed, I think now they'll focus on, okay, we need to get, you know, Tua signed. We got Waddle inked up. Then they'll probably focus on Tyreek, clear up some cap space to move some more things around and do some more things. Speaking of moving things around, we signed Calais Campbell yesterday.
Yep.
What is your thoughts on that? I was happy. I know he's 38, but that man, he got 7 sacks last year. He could still do something. What's your thoughts on that?
This man, and I think he's wonderful especially for what we need. I think the two missing pieces after we shored up. So safety was my big thing. We're like, we need to shore up this safety room. And I think bringing in Marcus May, a guy that's that 3-3-5 eligible guy who's going to be in the box, who's going to be over the top. You can switch him and Holland out. If you remember Holland with Flores, dude, Holland had 4 or 5 sacks that year with Flores. So he can come down in the box, dude. The experience with Poyer and the veteran leadership there. I'm happy that we shored up that safety room. So what's left is low key, we have to. They're very happy with obviously replacing Christian Wilkins with the aggregate kind of moneyballing the defensive line. But Calais Campbell, dude, this man can still set the edge with the best of them. And he's still, what shocks me too is, obviously, I don't watch the Falcons. So obviously I'm going to go back and I'm going to watch a lot of their games and watch, just some defensive games and see what we're looking at. And he's playing the edge. He's playing the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I had no idea. I thought they would have at least bumped him inside. So what that tells me is he's our early down guy.
Yes,
he's our early down. He's going to be setting the edge. Then we're going to be moving around, especially when Chubb and Phillips come back. But Kamara and Chop Robinson are going to have a ton of opportunities in that 9. So I'm really happy with the signing because I think we did need another piece on the defensive line, especially. I thought we were great against the run last year. There were very few teams, if any, where the quarterbacks excluded, of course, where they beat us with their running game. They didn't. Yeah. I don't think anybody beat us because they ran the ball. No. So I'm happy with the signing. The guys still got a ton of juice left. Can set the edge with the best of them.
Yeah, I think Calais is probably one of the few times you'll see the Dolphins community all in agreement. And I think everybody was like, which is starting to happen more and more often. It's kind of crazy, but like banging the table for something and they deliver. It's like, man. Yeah. But that was one thing I did know about him, and I was telling people I think we need maybe one more edge and a defensive tackle. But Calais, with him, you can play 1 to 5, and he can cover the tackle on your early downs. So like you really did kill 2 birds, 1 stone. Like it's the typical situation there. So like it was a good move, and he's just a dog, man. If you know anything about Calais Campbell, like I posted a video, he's just like, dude, that dude wants to fight people. He's just out there in pregame, just like howling at the other team, like, I'm going to rip your heart out. Like, dude, the Calais is just different. That's a grown man.
And he went home, man. Miami Hurricane going back. Supposedly he wanted to go back last year, but it just didn't work out. And I could see him, a 3-4 set. You have him with his hand down, and then you got maybe Chop or Mo on. Oh my God, I just want to beat the Bills.
It all comes back. It all comes back to the same thing.
That's all that matters. They always say that too, right? Like, watch week 3 or week 2, Thursday night, we beat the Bills. Oh, your Super Bowl? Hell yeah, it's our Super Bowl. We got to destroy them. I don't care, man. I don't want another win with like the time running out. Like we got to just win that game. Looking at the team kind of going into training camp, like for me, when I was looking at it, there was 3 positions I wanted to add. Safety, I wanted to add on the defensive line, and now I want to add interior offensive line. I would like Van Rotten if they could get him. Apparently the Dolphins do watch me because they already addressed 2 of the 3. So if they can get Van Rotten, I'd feel good. But are you guys on the same page? Do you think it's offensive lineman that's the next hole, or do you think maybe there's somewhere else that would make you feel like, oh no, we're good going into the season?
Well, after they kind of shored up the defensive line, they kind of did that in the beginning of the free agency period and the beginning of the offseason. So I was totally fine with the defensive line even before Campbell came in. I'm like, we're going to replace this. We're going to replace Wilkins with the aggregate and just hope it works out scheme wise. I think that our upgraded linebackers is going to help that defensive line look.
Yes.
I think that there's a huge upgrade at the linebacker position, and that's obviously going to help that run game. I think that we were very reliant on Christian and Sealer at the same time, being on the field at the same time and stopping the run. So I'm very comfortable with that. Then my next thing was safety. I'm like, we really have to shore up the safety room. And it was kind of under the radar. Not too many people were talking about it. The smart ones were, like yourself.
No, literally, that's
the smart ones were, and they addressed that. And, it's hard to talk about the offensive line with the Miami Dolphins because it's just some teams make it a priority. Some teams say we're going to win in other ways. And the Dolphins that's how they've been since. I mean, outside of the the unicorn offensive line, with Mike Pouncey and all those guys, we really haven't had a top 10, top 5 offensive line in any of our fandoms. You know what I mean? Especially when we're actually understanding what we're watching. You can go back when we were kids and whatnot, but
with
we're
Ricky
around probably the same age. But it does suck knowing that, hey, we're 2 injuries away from Liam snapping the football. It's a position that he has openly said like he's not comfortable playing center. I think he's a very good 2, and when he can step in and be the guy, scheme wise, Tua gets the ball out of his hands in less than 2 seconds a snap, really does help the offensive line. But imagine what would happen if Tua had 3 seconds to throw the football instead of just give him 2.5. Just imagine what can happen, the magic that can happen, especially Jonnu Smith, Odell Beckham coming in, giving him those real kind of 3 options. Where 1 and 2 we saw down the stretch were getting locked up. They were scheming around our 1 and 2, and the 3 couldn't get open. And there's a lot of potential in this offense to do great things, but I really do think, and I'm not sure where they're going to get the guy. Like Reisner was kind of a question mark because he was a free agent like every year, and he was late into the seasons where he was a free agent, and there was reasons why teams didn't pick him up. I'm not a big scouting guy. I'm not in the front office, but there's usually reasons for that. But we are still 1 or 2 injuries away from seeing an offensive line that's probably worse than what we saw walking out in Kansas City or towards the end of the season, the Bills game. So it is concerning, but it's difficult to talk about because you're just beating a dead horse, because I think Miami just they're not prioritizing that.
Yeah, I think somebody made a good argument. They said that Mike McDaniel, it's going to be hard to convince him that he needs to fix it because he looks at what he's done in Miami, and he has the number 1 offense 2 years in a row. So it's like, I get that. But when you play these teams in January, when you need an offensive line, when you got to change your play style, you can't run flea flicker every play. You can't get crazy and creative every play. Like, you have to finally line up and say, we're going to beat you. We're going to push you around. And I got the offensive line to do that when I need to, and we don't. And then, like Ghost said, who are we even going to have at that point? So, like, maybe you think you do today, but who's actually going to be there come January? So I agree. I think I would even entertain the idea of, like, once you restructure Tyreek, if you do, and you extend Tua, if there is an opening and a surplus of cap, I would send a 2nd or 3rd for a veteran, a bona fide left guard, right guard. I would do that, and I would welcome it. How could you be mad at that?
Or center. I'm just still not sold on Brewer. I understand that he's good in the run game, but like, I mean, I think he gave up like 8 sacks last year. Like, we can't rely on that. And last year we had Tua's dead last with time to throw, and then we were 31st with pass protection win rate. And it's like, and that's where Mike McDaniel's like, oh, we'll just get the ball out quick and we'll, do this and that. And then you got the narrative that Tua's a 1-read quarterback. Well, he has to be when he has no time to throw the ball. And like you guys are saying, we're going to be playing in Cleveland. We're going to be playing in Lambeau. Like, these aren't games where you can throw those. We saw what happened in the playoffs when Tua tried to throw those bubble screens one after the other. So, yeah, they need to either Butch Berry's going to do some more magic, or they need to address it and hopefully figure it out. But, he already said we're more concerned about the offensive line than they are, which really
I hate that comment so much. I hate
it looked good. I will say this. After about week 4, we were all like, did Greer just dunk on the whole fan base? It was like, Jesus Christ.
And then the wheels fell off.
Yeah. So, but I will say this about Aaron Brewer. I think, like it or not, he's got to be a center. He's just his size and build. He's not going to kick out. Like, I think he is your center. They gave him $7 million. Aaron Brewer is your starting center. Also, not to say that it could hold true in Miami, but I do believe Tannehill, one of the worst pocket presences, and Will Levis ate so many sacks last year. I really don't think he got any favors by the quarterbacks in Tennessee. And that sounds like a cop-out, but it's reality. They literally had 2 of the worst pocket present quarterbacks. And, like, I don't want to kill the man too much over that.
Yeah, no, I heard the same thing. And I even went back and I watched the game against the Dolphins where he was going up against Christian Wilkins. He didn't do that bad. He actually like kind of held his all. So
yeah, he looked good.
That's a good benchmark to look at. But guys, I appreciate you stopping by. Appreciate talking Dolphin football. This is gonna be the last time Go subscribe. The Dive Bar Podcast. It's literally in the title. Just click on the title, go subscribe, show them support. Right now, they're at 556 subscribers. I told them by the end of the day, or at least Sunday, I want them at 1,500. Make it happen. Just
That's
go
crazy.
over there. It's easy. You just go over, you hit the subscribe button, and watch some great content. Just go over and subscribe. But other than that, you could see where you can find them on Twitter at Ghost of Adam Gase. You also got Bobby. You can find him on Twitter as well. Anything else you guys want to promote? Anything else you guys want to say before you get out of here?
I'll tell you, man, we're just happy to be on here, and you know, you do some great things in this community. You don't try to split the community. You give your objective opinions, and you're good at what you do. And you know, the community loves you as a whole. So we're happy to be here, and we're happy to be the first show that we're promoting our podcast on. And you know, our promise is that you know, we're not going to put out a ton of quantity for content, but I can promise you, if you saw our schedule coming up, man, you know, it would ruffle some feathers, but you know, we have a ton of quality coming up, you know, some stuff. And I think that, you know, what we're trying to do is try to open that door for, you know, fan-based content where it's a complete norm for players to come on a podcast and talk ball. You know, we know that a lot of your questions don't get answered by, you know, from what I've seen, I don't think a lot of questions get answered by, you know, our media. You know, it's fun to ask. For example, Blake went into detail about the Kansas City game, went into detail about the Buffalo game, what it's like to in the locker room to know that, like, you kind of have a dark cloud in your head about, you know, losing the playoffs. That's the stuff we want to hear, and that's the stuff you know, we really want to bring to you, and we promise to bring you quality all the time.
Yeah. So yeah, like Ghost said, you know, there's a human side to these players that they obviously don't feel like they can expose or haven't been able to share. So, you know, we're trying to open that channel up and kind of put a spotlight on the human side of the player, not just, you know, like what's XO and how did you fall in love with football, but like, what's your favorite song? You know, like we talked about Luke Combs with Blake Ferguson. That was awesome. I'm a huge Luke Combs fan, so that's cool. Like, but yeah, so like Ghost said, if you needed another reason to come subscribe, we have another pretty decent sized announcement coming as early as Monday. Ooh. So we could have our second guest lined up. We just got off the phone before this. Actually, we were trying to finagle a little scheduling conflict, but
yep, we
got our next one should be lined up pretty soon.
Nice. Again, go subscribe. Don't make me out to be a liar. And help them hit 1,500. Guys, thank you so much for stopping by. Like I said, I'm going to have you on again. Maybe help me predict the season. I don't know. But I appreciate you guys stopping by.
It's always a pleasure, man. It's always a pleasure. And I'm sure I'll see you this season in person. I know we got MetLife coming up, but I'll see you down in South Florida too.
Yes, sir.
All right. Appreciate you, Doug.